You are listening to Tales from the Vale, hosted by local pizza proprietor Tony Michelot
and Lee Gilligan, peripatetic wine industry veteran. A podcast where we have conversations with wine industry personalities,
passionate foodies,
business identities,
and community leaders who live, work and play in and around McLaren Vale
and the Fleurieu Peninsula.
Tales from the Vale.
Today, we're going to be talking with Andy Clappis. Who is Andy Clappis? Legendary bread maker, a master pasta maker.
I like master pasta.
Master pasta maker, a restaurant extraordinaire with a restaurant function centre called Our Place on Willunga Hill. So we'd like to get to the bottom of what Andy's doing here in the McLaren Vale region. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, boys.
Welcome.
Great to be here.
And you lit up the room and brought in some Sicilian cannoli.
That's it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Cannoli alla Siciliana.
Best in Australia, I've heard.
Yeah, Mavo Ma in a Feast magazine gave me the best cannoli in Australia, and Joe Rescue from Darry's Veranda actually told me that I had won it years ago.
It's brilliant. I'm going to get into them later. What are they like?
They are delicious.
Yeah.
Right. The pastry is so light and delicate.
And they made fresh yesterday, were they? Or
Yeah,
Yep.
yep. I just piped them before coming.
And we had we did have a little chat before recording, which is always frustrating for me because things do come out and I'd rather them come out naturally, but I just heard that Parma Marenti to you. Because we did go to the same, although different vintage, same school, Ross Trevor College. And we both wound up in McLaren Vale somehow doing similar things. But today's want to hear all about you.
Oh, thank you, Tony.
Via Hectorville.
Via Hectorville. What was our motto at Ross Trevor? We never leave our mates behind, I think it was.
We never leave our mates behind. Oh, wow.
So, where did you grow up?
In Hectorville. Conceived in Waikerie, but born in Adelaide. Mum and Dad were picking grapes in Waikerie. So Mum and Dad came to Australia in 1951 on the same boat.
Okay. They knew each other before they...
No, they met on the boat, on the Love Boat.
Sometimes you hear that so often. You know, I've heard that more than they've met on the boat and then it's like all of a sudden you're married and...
Romance blossoms.
It's great. So all you needed back then to do it was just to have the same boat in common.
That's it.
You know, and you're just like,
Okay.
looks like we're going to...
So, they met.
They
married.
went to Bonagilla together.
Mm-hmm.
There they were separated, the women and the men.
Mm-hmm.
But then, they joined up again, and I'm the baby of the family. There's four children.
From where they come?
Mum Slovenian.
Right.
But we always spoke Italian at home because Mum was a political refugee. Well, they both were. Mum was caught up in Mantova for 9 years as a young girl.
Yep.
And during a bombardment, she met Tazio Nuvolari, the Formula One racing champion of the world. I think you've heard this story before.
Go on.
Would have been in the 40s.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, during the war, Mum met Tazio Nuvolari in the bunker during a bombardment. A friendship arose, and he asked if she could help look after the two boys who were very sick with his wife, which was an ongoing thing. When the boys were resting, Mum would go in the kitchen. He had professional cooks in his kitchen. Tito Gobbi was his best friend, the great singer.
Wow.
And Mum learnt lots of Mantuan dishes, which are quite unique to different parts of Italy. So we've always, in our restaurants and hotels, specialised in a few Mantuan dishes because of Mum.
Wow.
And Dad, where he was born, in Pola, is now part of Croatia after the Second World War, that was lost to Croatia. And there's a Colosseum there in better condition than the one in Rome. So I rest my case. But Dad's very Italian. And Yeah, so we always spoke, like I said, we always spoke Italian because Mum was fluent with Italian.
Okay. And when did you come down to Hectorville?
Well, when I was born, they already had moved into Hectorville.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your dad was a restaurateur.
Yes, Dad. His history goes back a long way. He was the founder of the Buonasera restaurant.
Okay.
He was in partnership with Lamberto, Ilario Lamberto, and at the time, this was back in 1970. What am I saying? 69, I think it was, when they started the Buonasera. And no, it would have been 67. I was 9 years old, 8 years old. And the three original owners of Burnside Village, Bob May, Tom Meadows, Richard Cohen, they were clients of Dad at the Buonasera. And they wooed Dad while they were constructing the first part of the original part of Burnside Village. They wooed Dad to leave the partnership. Ilario was the silent partner, Dad was the working partner, and have his own restaurant in Burnside Village. So that was the first Enzo's restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And then that progressed to us buying a property at Kenttown, which was an art gallery, and we transformed that into a restaurant. That was back in 81, I think it was. Transformed that into a restaurant, and that became Chloe's when we sold the property to Nick.
Oh, right. Okay.
And we then bought the Maylands Hotel, and we were there for 13 years, and till 2000. And I got to know so many winemakers from this beautiful region of ours. Darry had a First Thursday Club, and they came the first Tuesday of every month to our hotel. They had a private room which we used to give them. They would bring the wines, and Dad and I would just cook the food. They left the food up to us. But we also had the Second Thursday Club. So Darry's group was the young group. Yeah, Don Redmond was part of that group.
Wow.
Max was part of both groups from Penfolds. So the Second Thursday Club were people like Alan Archer that started Chester Cellars, Mick Napstein, Tim's uncle.
From Mick, Uncle
Napstein.
Mick. Yeah, in the Clare. I had lunch there the other day.
I remember a beautiful story. Mick was dropped off on the wrong Thursday. He came the one before. And he walked into the room, and Don Redmond and Darry said, you might as well join us, because his drive had already left. You join us. But he was so pissed off that they masked their wines, because the Second Thursday Club didn't mask their wines. And, I remember one day Alan Archer's group, the wine of the day was this Yalumba Golden Ridge 1966, and Alan Archer still had the little ticket that how much he paid at a shop for $2.50 or something. It was liquid gold. I've lost my train of thought here. Put me back on track, boys.
No. So you ran the Maylands for 13 years.
Yep.
What were you doing at the Maylands?
When we were at Kenttown, I was front of house. My father sent me to Switzerland when I was 17. I didn't do matric at Rostrevor College. I went to Switzerland, and I worked in the Park Hotel, and I learnt front of house. Actually, I wasn't even supposed to touch alcohol because I was 17, but I remember Mr. Bialetti, the caricature of the coffee urns, like you've just made a coffee.
Yeah.
He used to call me over, and they were hiding. Get this, his family, his two children, his wife, were hiding and living in the hotel where I was from the Red Brigade, because they tried to kidnap his children for ransom.
Wow.
And it was the first time I saw Riddell glasses, and he called me over, and he'd want me to drink. He'd always have the most expensive French or Italian wine, and he'd always want me to drink from his glass and try this wine. And he was a character. But my maitre d', he was pretty shitty with me one day. He called me, because it was all silver service. He called me behind the curtain and he gave me a grilling, and he said, "What do you think this is?" He said, "That's Mr. Bialetti. You can't be so common with these people." But I think he was jealous.
So how long were you there? How long were you at the hotel?
In Gstaad, I was for the whole winter season, and then I went to Geneva, and I worked in the Buffet de Gare in Geneva. And I remember seeing Enzo Ferrari at the Geneva Motor Show. I went. I think he died a few days later. But back in Gstaad, all the film stars had chalets there. I served Elizabeth Taylor, Julie Andrews, Audrey Hepburn, David Niven, Montgomery Cliff. They all used to come. And my boss, when I used to work downstairs in the more comfortable sort of restaurant where we did fondues and things, was Claudine, a beautiful French woman. She would have been in her 60s, and she taught me to play backgammon and Yahtzee. And one night we're playing backgammon, and she said, "Andrew, I just want to go and get some photos from my bedroom I want to show you." And she came out with these black and white photos of her and Louis Armstrong. And I said, "Wow, you knew Louis Armstrong?" And she said, "Knew Louis Armstrong. I was his last lover. We travelled the world together." And no wonder all these film stars were so common with her. They'd embrace her, kiss her. And the owners of the hotel, they were very distant. But
amazing.
Yeah.
How do you, like a boy from Trevor, end up in Switzerland? Was it through connections from your father to go over here and apply for a job here? Or did you just rock up and be like, "Hi, I want to learn how to wait"?
Oh, well,
Elizabeth
actually,
Taylor, please. Like, how did that happen?
when we were at Burnside Village, I actually lost contact with Lyndon Prowse. He was in charge of the Unit for Industrial Democracy for Don Dunstan. And he used to travel to Switzerland and Germany regularly because he was in the process of helping.
It sounds like a department from 1984. The Unit for, what was it?
Industrial Democracy.
I love that.
It was where people that
What
worked.
happened to that cabinet? We should ask Leon. So Leon, you should get it back on. Bring it back.
Lyndon Prowse actually ran for the Liberal Party many years later. It was to involve people that worked in factories to be part of the factory. So he when he discovered we bought this property at Kenttown, and we were thinking about turning it into a silver service restaurant, he thought it'd be a great idea for me to go to Switzerland. So he set it all up while he was travelling over. I used to get the old telex messages from Don Dunstan. He'd be writing to Don Dunstan, and at the end he'd say, can you get Barbara, I think her name was, the secretary, to pass this on to Andy Clappis, Enzo Clappis's son. And he was communicating with Guizzardi Frey, a beautiful Swiss who married an Italian. She was the manageress. And it was all set up through Lyndon Prowse, who many years later, the last time I saw him was with Primo Kayon. He came to our restaurant at Kenttown. But then we lost contact. And then I saw Dad and I were watching Four Corners. And there he is. He put on so much weight. He was on a horse with a 10-gallon hat, and he was accused of laundering millions of dollars for Marcos in Australia. He set me up in Switzerland.
Right. Brilliant. Thanks for that. That's great. What an amazing way to cut your teeth, so to speak. I mean, you already cut your teeth here, obviously, with your family businesses, but to learn like that level of service, or just a way to even grow up in those formidable years, to be around those sort of people, culture, and it paints a lovely picture.
Oh, yeah, I think I was very lucky, and still am very lucky. We never turned our restaurant into silver service. When I came back, I said to Dad, listen, I think we just better just carry on the way you've always done, simple
You didn't want to
simple
get the brush
home
out
food.
for the seats and
Well, we enjoyed kissing the girls and the boys.
yeah, that's right.
You can't do that in silver service, like I got told off of being common with Mr. Bialetti.
Yeah. Actually, I just want to go back on it. The actual Bialetti guy? Or
Yeah,
the
Mis-
character of
No.
Mr. Bialetti.
He had the buffer. He had everything on
Yeah,
it.
like you.
It's him.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
And it's not that long ago. He
That's way
passed
cooler
away.
to me than like Elizabeth Taylor. Or like, whatever. I'm like, oh my God, you met the Bialetti guy.
Yeah, well, absolutely amazing.
For those that don't know, explain why he's so famous.
Mr. Bialetti.
Yeah.
Well, he his father invented the aluminium coffee
Stovetop, the mocha.
Stovetop, the mocha.
Right. I just thought you should explain
Yeah.
that to some of our listeners
Such
who
a
may
great,
not know.
it's such a great little cartoon too. If anyone's listening and hasn't seen it, look it up because it's sort of standing proud with a. You could almost say he's holding a wine glass to you, saying "drink from this," but he's not. He's pointing to the. It looks like he's pointing to the top of your cafetera, saying it's ready to go.
Dad saw on the Italian news not that many years ago he passed away, and his son, I think Robert, if I remember right, he
Such a popular
they
product.
organised they organised a big coffee pot for his urn for his ashes. It was
Wow.
yeah.
I thought you were saying, okay. I thought you were saying it was a machinetta-shaped coffin.
No, but that's where his ashes went, according to my dad. I missed it on the Italian news.
Wow. So you've been like, your personality and your way you enter a room obviously it leads in before you do, but that comes from, growing up around restaurants and would you accredit it to that?
Oh, definitely. I was shy as a boy. I'm still shy, even on Sundays when I do my my big lunches.
performance?
I hadn't noticed that you were shy at all.
Very nervous in the. But then when we start, I just love it.
That's the thing, though. That's what's interesting about it when you speak to artists or whether they're musicians or comedians or whatever. It's often they can be quite introverted in their own way, or deeply thinking, but you might see them outside of their craft and they're completely different. But when they get there, when they get to their comfortable space, or something they love doing, it can strip away all of that and use that energy in a way to make it exciting. So
Yeah, well put. Yeah.
I remember a similar thing for me when I was like drumming.
Can you stop talking about yourself?
I will edit it out. But I
We're
remember
interviewing
when I
Andy.
was at school at West Trevor, and I spoke to one of my drummers. It was like just a school concert, my drum teacher, and he was like, "I'm nervous because just use that." It was one thing that stuck with me all the time. Was like, use that nervous energy, just turn it into excitement. And I was like, one of those formidable memories that you remember when you're like in year 5. And I always just remember that when I got nervous, I was like, "Oh no, this is good. That's good energy, and it can really help." So
Paul Kelly went to Ross Trevor.
yeah, absolutely.
He was in class with my
Is
brother
that your gravy recipe or?
with the tomato sauce.
I was like, okay. Bit different. But, yeah. What year did you graduate?
Well, I was in Switzerland when my mates
Of
graduated.
course. Yeah.
Don't forget. So what happened after the Maylands? You had it for 13 years, and then why did you sell?
13 years with a young family, 7 days a week. I used to grow the beef for our hotel on the property I'm on now. We moved up to Willunga Hill, and it just evolved. Actually, it was the Nick Hazelgrove was my neighbour, and he was the president of the Bacchus Club that year, and my dining room, which you know very well, Lee, was like semi-opened. It wasn't finished, and it was supposed to be a big veranda. Never really thought about turning it into a restaurant. And he asked me if we could have the AGM Black Tie Affair, and I agreed to it. But it was a really cold night, so I just borrowed all these heaters which we put under this massive table, and it was a great success. And it just went on from there. And then my big veranda turned into a dining room. Jerry Keat, he often tells people this was supposed to be a veranda.
Jerry Keat, for those that don't know, is a former Englishman who came to Australia a number of years ago and became a craftsman builder.
Yes.
And he's done some amazing stuff.
Yeah. Waldorf School, he had so much to do with that. And he's still doing things for me.
And settled in Willunga.
Yeah.
How long had you had the property?
I think we bought our first property at Taylor's Hill Road. Oh, that would have been about the early 90s.
Was that while you were still working with your father in the restaurants, or was it when you went to?
No, we bought that when we were at the Maylands.
Cool, right.
When my girls were very, very young.
And was that something that you're interested in, like to have cattle, or was it specifically purchased to go, I want to have my beef?
As you know, Ross Trevor College had a farm,
yeah.
And Darryl Hicks, the great footballer, he was my ag science teacher. I always thought I wanted to be a farmer, which I've got a small farm, but I studied ag science and just the combination of the food to plate, as they say, it just evolved.
What was that experience like? I mean, raising beef for a restaurant is a hobby thing. Was there anything?
Yeah, well, I remember Jeff Sunderland one day. I just came back from the property, delivered a couple of steers to Strathalbyn to get slaughtered, and I had to come back to Adelaide with the trailer for some reason, and it was a day like today. It was spitting with rain, and I reversed into this parking spot where he just rolled up. He was a bit early for lunch, and he looked at the back of the trailer was oozing with steer poo, and he goes, "I see the meat's fresh today." He was a character. I remember another day he often enjoyed our ossobuco. We do it the Milanese way without tomato and the saffron risotto. And he looked on the board and it wasn't up as a special, and he said, "What? No ossobuco today?" I said, "No, we've run out of the shins." And he said, "Can't you bloody grow cows with 6 legs?" Did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, you kind of did. It doesn't really matter because I find it so fascinating. I mean, I'd love to see going from like buying from a supplier to being your own supplier or supplementing supplier in the hotel. I find that really interesting. And also, how involved you be in going, okay, we're going to slaughter this animal. We're going to hang it for this long. How are you going to butcher it? What was that process like?
Yeah, well, the original owner of Strathalbyn Meats, he was incredible. He would hang the meat as long as I wanted, and then it would be delivered by you would know Angelo Inacci.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Angelo started off with one van and. He was doing all the deliveries by himself. Wow. I take my hat off to Angelo. He's turned it into an incredible business. Mm-hmm. But he used to drive to Strathalbyn, bring us our meat all cut up the way I ordered.
He hasn't delivered my cheese in a long time. He's got a lot of other people that do that for him.
Oh, he did. He did make a delivery last year. He was going to do me a favour and pick up a pig from Murray Bridge when I couldn't get him from Yundi anymore. And he completely forgot about the driver picking it up. So he actually drove up there on a Saturday and brought it to me.
Brought it back.
That's why his business
He said it was worth it. He said the coffee's good.
Good. Is this something you still do on the property, the beef?
Yeah. Now we have our own lamb as well.
Wow, beautiful.
Do you grow your own
My daughter
vegetables as well?
Celandine and her husband Simon, they run the animals for.
Do you do your own any of your own vegetables at all?
Oh yeah. My gardener Giuseppe, he hasn't been that well. Incredible guy at the age of 80. I've got a young lad that helps, but I've had my own tomatoes when Giuseppe was in full flight. I'm hoping that he gets back to where he was. He was affected by AstraZeneca injection and got Goiter's syndrome. But he's slowly getting stronger. He's the most amazing guy at his age, Calabrese. And we've had our own eggplants, our own capsicum, our own so many vegetables that he's grown for me.
Oh.
And everyone told me it was impossible to grow tomatoes up our way, but Giuseppe achieved that.
Fantastic. Well, and for those people that don't know about your restaurant, what's the format? Because you have these amazing Sunday lunches that are they're unbelievable.
Oh, wow. You give me goosebumps.
They are
it's a
fantastic.
bit
They are legendary.
They are absolutely stunning. Really.
Well, it's a bit different the way I do it. I got the idea when we had the Maylands, when Dad and I were cooking together. I ended up in the kitchen because when we bought the Maylands Hotel, like I said, I was front man at our restaurant in Kent Town.
This is the one that was where Close was, the one in Kent Town?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Which is empty now.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, very sad. I drove past the other day and I looked at the roof. And
Looks like it's
and
kind of
I thought,
caving in.
shit, I think I'm the last person that painted that. Dad bought me a special roller with the
Oh, yeah.
grooves.
Get in the gaps.
I think
yeah.
it was just came out when I painted the roof.
So you're cooking with your dad.
Yeah.
Cooking, yeah. So when we bought the Maylands, there was a young we bought from the Tonkins that got the gov, and they were so successful with their music. We're not a music orientated family. Love music, but none of us are. I've got a nephew, Brett, that's on Channel 10. He's a great singer and guitarist, and he's played with Paul Kelly actually. So. Yeah, we did it with food. We were part of the Cafe Society for when we bought the Maylands in '87. Yeah, the food was very basic in hotels in those days, but we ran our hotel just like a restaurant. And
quite forward thinking for that time.
yeah, and eclectic fare of food, not only Italian, but we had lots of Mum's Slovenian food. I was making Thai fish curries back in '87 when there was one Thai restaurant in Adelaide.
in Adelaide, yeah.
And I used to make my own paste, and I'll never forget.
It's so easy to just forget how different it was.
Yeah.
That's what I love about these conversations is
Well, this Thai fish curry we used to get from the Valenti's boat in Port Lincoln, flown to us on Thursday, nana guys or baby red snappers.
Yeah.
And we would have, Friday was our Thai fish curry, platot gayeng a day. And I tell you, people used to come from even Salisbury. They came from everywhere to eat our curry.
Eat the curry.
And I remember one day my brother took the order at the bar because we were very casual the way people used to go up to the bar and order and so forth. And there was this gorgeous Thai woman who said to my brother, the platot gayeng, is it authentic? Oh, yes, we make our own paste and blah, blah. So she ordered it. When it came to clearing the table, I had this lovely Sandra from Hong Kong doing her last year of apprenticeship with us, and she was dressed up in a white chef uniform, and she went out to help clear the table with my brother Fred, and my brother went up to this Thai woman, and all that was left was the bone. Now the head had been demolished because it was crunchy wok fried, and nothing. The tail, everything was missing, just the actual centre bone. And he very confidently said, wow, you enjoyed that? And she said, it was absolutely magic. And she pointed over to Sandra, the girl from Hong Kong that was right across the other side of the room, and she said, she did a wonderful job. And my brother didn't want to upset her that his Italian background brother created the dish.
I love that.
So getting on to our place, you've got to explain what you do on Sundays.
Yep. So it's a bit different, and that's where I started. I got the idea what I do because a lot of our regulars, I mean, we had all forms of life used to come to the Maylands. We had politicians, we had journalists, we had school teachers, it's just an array of mixed bag of people. And some of our regulars would stick their head in the kitchen and go to Dad and I, what are we having for lunch? What are we having for dinner? And they left it up to us. And I thought, wow, that's a great way of getting the best out of me, you know. So on our Sundays, there is no menu. People just come to my home, which it is. It's my home as well, where the restaurant is. And, it's all shared food. There's no, you know, when you go to a restaurant, I don't miss a la carte. I definitely don't miss a la carte because there's always a stuff up somewhere along the line in a la carte, especially when you got, you know, 200 people all
It's
at
all
once.
those variables, isn't
Oh, it's crazy. And there's a lot of wastage. So I got the idea and it's really worked for me. So people come, we do some nibbles, then they sit down and it's 2 waves of food. It's all shared food. One of the main reasons why I do it is, you know, risotto, for example. We were the first at the Maylands Hotel to have risotto on the menu in Adelaide. No one did risotto on the menu. And I developed this way of par-cooking the rice in broth, you know, cooking it halfway or thereabouts, and then chilling it. And then as we got orders, we had a base and we'd finish it off. But it was a great compromise and it introduced people to risotto in Adelaide. There was so many people that never had a risotto before. And it became very popular. We had Tuesdays we always had a risotto on the menu, but on Tuesdays we had an extra one as a special. And it was just a great success. But here I've gone back to the basics. It's one big, massive pot cooked fresh from beginning to end. And I can really nail the texture. I mean, the last time Frank from Chianti and Maria were, he caught my hand as I was walking past, and he said, "Andy, you nailed the texture. You know, it just."
Can you give us a sample menu? What
Yeah.
Just run through what you'd serve on a Sunday.
So I always do farinata, which is a chickpea little number from La Spezia.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply chickpea flour, virgin olive oil, our rainwater and salt. And it's
Spezia up near the Cinque Terre.
Exactly, La Spezia, yeah, right on the Cinque Terre there. And they have a festival but I have so many Italians that come to my restaurant. They've never had farinata before. You know, Tony, he's in the know. But so many have never had a farinata. Tony Punteri from Gauchos, you know, when he comes up, he goes, "Andy, I only have this here in La Spezia and in your place."
But is that due to the specialisation in Italy, where people will have their regional specialties?
Yeah, but this is something,
and they don't sort of often eat outside food from outside.
It's just one of those things that it's. I'm sure it's, you know, probably in a lot of more places now in Italy too, but. You know, all the Italians that are here in McLaren Vale and in Adelaide, you know, that have been living here for ages, in their time in Italy, unless they were from there, they never had it.
Okay, so you've got that. All right.
That's a little nibble.
Yep.
And my pizza, just made with very simple, made with my same bread dough, no different, just the timing and everything, very simple bit of pizza. And then we have our first wave of food. I might do my pate from turkey livers from Perenjuk near Keith. I may make some pesce in savor, a Venetian specialty, where, like I said, where Dad comes from, is now part of Croatia, but it's a stone throw to Venice over the water. And so our dialect is a mixture of Venetian, Veneto, Triestine, and even words, a lot of Austrian words in our dialect. And so we might do pesce in savor, which is traditionally done with sardines, which I get from Port Lincoln, or I might use mulloway from the Coorong. And it's a cooked pickled dish, very aromatic. And we think Marco Polo brought that dish back in his travels in Asia. Might do vitello tonnato, the classic Piemontese dish with the silver side of our beef. I poached that in Kuda Riesling.
I like how you said the first wave. The first wave. Then the first wave of food comes. I'm like, oh, yeah. There's a swell.
What I'm enjoying doing at the moment, while the tomatoes are so good, is doing I make my own spaghetti with eggs from our place, or the tennis court, I like to say.
Yeah.
And so the spaghetti alla guitarra, square spaghetti, and that's the only component that's cooked in this first dish that I've been doing for many weeks now, while the tomatoes are good. The sauce, the tomatoes are raw, the basil's raw, the garlic's raw, virgin olive oil, and freshly ground white pepper and River Murray salt, nothing else. And it's very refreshing. Instead of serving a garden salad,
Yep.
Is it muddled at all?
Is it?
Are they muddled all together? Like basil, the tomatoes, everything? Or
No,
just
all
just
nice
tossed
and
with
chunky.
pasta?
Nice and chunky. The pasta is room temperature.
Yeah, okay.
I wait for it to cool a bit.
I love pasta alla guitarra. It's my favourite. It's very famous for Abruzzo, actually.
Exactly.
Where my father's from, and that's
Oh,
love it. I love doing the final bring. The guitarra obviously being the guitar, and it pushes all the pasta down, and
yeah.
pasta love is the best, man.
You'll have to come up.
I got to get up. It's sacrilege, right? If you ever open a day not a Sunday, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, we can have a little private one.
Not on a Sunday.
The three of us.
No, but the whole time we've been talking, I'm like, I've just got to get my staff. I'm going to ask Andy after this. I'm going to be like, is it okay if we do
Take a Sunday off. Take a Sunday off.
No. Do the Pizza Take a staff show. We might have enough of them now. We could fill the joint and get up there. That'd be great.
Oh, magic. And then for the second wave of food, that's a bit of an example for the first wave.
Yep.
But the second wave of food would be a homemade pasta or a homemade gnocchi dish. And I must admit, Mum used to be the gnocchi maker. We lost her just over 3 years ago. And but Dad, he's going to be 91 in June.
Wow. Yeah.
He makes look, Mum would be very proud. He took over making the gnocchi. I mix up the dough for him, and then he's got the patience rolling and cutting it. And they are like souffle. Not like the ones you find in the supermarket, like they're bullets. Aldo Crotti from Sanremo Pasta, the late Aldo, he used to love our homemade pasta, our homemade gnocchi dishes. He even liked my Thai fish curry. But I remember one day we did these tortellini mantovana, which we did regularly with Mum. That was pumpkin filled. We make our own apple mustard from... it's a very unique dish from Mantova, mostarda mantovana. We eat it with pork. We eat it with boiled meats. We eat it with cheese, and we use it in filling tortellini mantovana or tortelloni mantovana. So it's pumpkin. This was Tazio Nuvoladi's favourite dish, by the way, that Mum learnt. So it would be a mixture of my almond biscuits, which I use local almonds, of course, crushed down. So you got the filling of pumpkin, the amaretti biscuits, the apple mustard, which is quite unique in it's very piquant. It's got mustard seed oil that's been distilled, and I go to a lot of trouble to get that ingredient. Padano, we use Padano because of Mum's relationship with Mantova, freshly grated. And lots of grated fresh nutmeg. And,
Got that Venetian flair as well with the nutmeg, the very northern dish. What sort of sauce, sugo, is it in a butter?
This is so unique. You can have it with just about anything. Even Tazio Nuvoladi, Mum said, used to sometimes have it with bolognese sauce, which, the agrodolce effect. You can have it with Napolitana sauce. You can have it with panna sauce. But my favourite is with burro fuso con salvia, sage, virtually burnt with butter, and then you have lots of extra parmesan.
I'm glad your favourite was my initial thoughts. I'm like, it's got to be with butter.
Exactly. So,
isn't tortellini a wonderful thing?
Oh,
so great. Tortellini and brodo. I had that in Reggio Emilia like a few years back for the first time, proper dish, and I was just blown away by the delicacy of it.
I remember as a kid, our neighbours they were Australian and Czechoslovakian, and Christmas Day they were having a barbecue. It was the Australian side of the family, and we were having our Christmas lunch. And Uncle Fred Turner, he walked in to say Merry Christmas, and he leaned. We were in the middle of having our tortellini and brodo, and which we have, Christmas time, Easter time, weddings, and he leaned down to give my mum a kiss, and his elbow went in her broth. And he was so apologetic, and they were having a burnt barbecue next door. and he was all apologetic. He said, "Sorry, Sonia, sorry." And Mum said, "That's okay." And then he'd go, "Oh, what are you having broth for on Christmas Day anyway?" Didn't get it.
No. The same thing. We have a different version of that, but it'd be like known as like brodo matrimone soup, they call it, which is like the little meatball and the fried pasta and a bit of like spinach and egg and the cheese through it. So
I'm coming to your place for dinner too.
But it's like the same thing. It's like it's hot, a hot Australian Christmas, and you're having steaming hot soup. And lasagna. And it's like, I just want to have prawns on the beach like all my friends. But I don't. At all.
No, I wasn't embarrassed at Rostrevor bringing my lunch. Mum would make me stacks of like bistecca riempida, our pan-fried stuffed schnitzels with cheese and everything. And it was just massive thing. But she'd make me so many that I was able to barter, and I'd still get a meat pie from someone.
yeah, absolutely. You got the best of both worlds.
That reminds me, many years ago when I was a youth, I worked at the Artarmon Brickworks in Sydney this is back in 69, 70, when they were still hand-setting bricks out of a machine, 2 at a time on a barrow. And the place, most of the brick setters were Italian. And I got really interested in food then because they'd have their lunch. I'd have a sandwich and they'd have something in a little bowl that was hot. And so I'd teach them English and I got some of their lunch. And fantastic pasta, meat dishes, all sorts of stuff. And lunch times were never so much fun in those days. It was always they had tons, and they were interested that I was interested in their food because they were mainly, manual. Well, they were all manual labourers and had very little English, and it was fun
fair
actually.
Trade. Were they interested in your food at all?
No. I used to swap my sandwiches at school with my friend Peter Forrester, who used to bring Hungarian food to school. So I'd swap my Vegemite sandwich for something that he'd bought, and it was always something quite exotic. And it made lunchtimes a lot of fun.
We used to call, I don't know if you remember, in our year we'd say the Rostrevor roll, which was the bread and buttered roll with sausage roll inside of it.
Right.
And if you're really fancy, you chuck some chips in it.
Chips
as well.
in it.
Yeah. Chip roll was great.
You mean
But I never had that until high school, until I went to Rostrevor.
potato crisps?
Potato crisps.
Oh, yeah, that was another one.
Yeah. 30-cent butter roll and the sausage roll inside of it.
Anyway.
Rostrevor roll.
I want to get back to this menu because I'm starting to get
we're still on the second wave.
really hungry.
Yeah, the second wave. So, these what I often like making with the gnocchi is our pesto alla Willungian.
A local dish.
Yeah, well, we don't use pine nuts. We use local almonds.
Okay.
Yeah.
The almonds, iconic, especially years ago, they were probably better known than the grapes.
Yeah.
And so that's one dish I like serving up, but it might be, if I'm not doing the salad pasta with tomato, then we could have a Napolitana sauce. And like I said, or a pasta dish, one or the other, tortellini.
Very seasonal, though. It's like what you're touching on. For tomatoes, you've got pesto in summer.
Exactly. And then there's there's always a risotto dish, and the roast could be my beef, could be our lamb, could be I've even done
water buffalo.
Yes, I was just about.
You
were there.
I was there that day.
That's right.
Roasted water buffalo.
Yeah, Eric and Emma from Buffalo Love. He offered me the first steer, and I bought the whole thing, and we did Pip. We did the chef's table at my place. So the place was full of local chefs, and I cooked up the buffalo shoulder, which Ellis's they hung for 3 weeks for me. They do a wonderful job there, and served it up with we grow our own horseradish. Again, because Mum being Slovenian, Dad being Croatian, we call it kren, just like the Austrians. It's very much part of our diet. The yesteryear, the from Rome down, they wouldn't have known about horseradish, but they do now. But that's been part of our diet, and it was a great success. So I'm glad. Yeah, I thought you were there with Pip.
I was. Yeah, that was a
and it was
fantastic.
memorable.
I've always thought water buffalo. What?
You always thought it's an underrated meat. Let's get it out there.
No, it was.
I've had people fresh from over Naples, and I've cooked up the buffalo, and they were very chuffed about it.
They're like, you should be milking this thing, not killing it.
Well, these are the steers.
There's Good not point. Much hope for the steer.
No.
And for dessert, I could be doing turkeys from Perujuk, where I get my livers from. I could be doing a beautiful pig.
The roast's on fire in the oven there, and
I've got this incredible Rationale oven, which I designed the trolley that goes in, and I cook animals whole. Beef, of course, is big joints, but lamb or hogget, pigs, I do.
When you're feeding a couple of hundred people, you have to.
Well, I've done a 45 kilo pig in my oven. It's a vertical trolley, and I roll it out and show people before we carve it up. It's very, very impressive, I think.
Well, I was pretty.
Actually, people have called it that.
I was pretty impressed when the water buffalo came out, and then this is what it is, guys. Round of applause.
Well, it came out walking with a bell around its neck.
With one leg, it was a bit hard.
Sorry, turn it around.
And for dessert, always my cannoli alla siciliana.
I know. I'm going to get into that.
When Mum was with us, I'd occasionally do her apple strudel, which she was very famous for. She was written up in so many magazines years ago. And I'd make the homemade ice cream to go with it. But I might get back into that at times, but I enjoy doing my cannoli. That's my dish.
So this is on a Sunday, this service, for those that know. And I'm guessing your week is involved between, some private time, but also getting ready for this dish. It's not just, wake up Sunday morning, what are we going to cook? You're spending quite a lot of time.
Yeah, well,
prepping.
Saturday night, because my roasts usually cook for around 24 hours. So I do get up during the night just in case the gas bottles have changed over and there's an airlock or something. But I want to get my I saw my little granddaughter, they have a little camera thing while she's sleeping to keep an eye on her during the night. I've got to get one of those to look after my baby in the oven.
You can put audio on it too.
Help.
Yeah, because the oven will alarm if it gets an airlock. Yeah.
So there's a lot of prep that goes into it and sourcing it, but are there other things?
But I do a lot of functions.
Do functions
I do quite a few functions. Weddings on a Saturday. During the week, I might have a group of. I love during the week sometimes doing for people that are retired and in villages, and they're Europeans that have just loved great food all their life, cooked great food, and I got different people that organise them coming on. Wednesday seems to be a popular day, and I cook up a bit more simpler menu, and it's just wonderful seeing these people so happy with the food that deserve to have a good feed.
Is there a division between the residents and the restaurant, or is it all one sort of open space for you?
Well, the dining room can become my TV room. We've got a big screen. Kimmy and I can watch a movie or whatever. Yeah,
right in it.
Yeah, right. My bedroom's behind the bar. Everyone's got their bedroom behind the bar, haven't they?
Keep it very handy.
I I love that.
That's pretty handy.
So, yes, it's my home. But people tell me, and they write in my visitors book, how it all feels so homely, like being in my home, which they really are.
Yeah.
Because
I was just trying to touch on it because you got the name. It's like our place, this, and this, and it's.
And when people come, they really feel like it's our place. It's their place as well.
Yeah.
When I cooked for the Backers Club years ago, I cooked out of my kitchen in the house. I don't have a kitchen in the house anymore. That's become an extended laundry because washing the serviettes and so forth. So even cooking for the two of us is in my large kitchen. Yeah.
Let's go. We're going to do something.
Don't have a fridge in the house.
Do you roll out the trolley with a water buffalo on it and go, that's just a light meal tonight?
How many staff you got up there?
I've got Dad's when I was a kid, he used to get cheap labour from me. Now I get cheap labour from him. He's 90. He's going to be 91 in June, but he's just amazing.
Great, isn't he?
Peeling the potatoes and carrots and doing the gnocchi and
he'd say it keeps him young.
I tell him all the time, hey, I'm keeping you young, Dad. And then I've got beautiful Lela, who's a known identity in McLaren Vale, De Freitas. She helps me regularly. There's like four main kitchen staff that I depend on. And then we've got the staff on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got a wonderful thing team about the service that you do, or the format that you do. I'm making any assumptions, but you can have the whole team concentrate on the next course type thing. Whereas with this a la carte thing, you can also have just all these different stations firing at different times. Whereas, cool, we've done that wave of food. Now we're going to concentrate on these next three.
I take my hat off to guys like you, and I don't think I could do a la carte anymore. Been there, done that. It was just, that was hard work.
So it
is hard work.
When do you find time to do your bread?
Yeah, well, that's a big part of my business.
You've had Andy's.
I have had it, and I'm really glad you brought it up because it's not only is it incredible. What I love about it is that it's its own brand.
Yeah.
There's a few brands that are listed proudly on multiple restaurants in the region, and one of them's Andy Clappis bread, where people will say that.
Yeah.
The other one you'll see is quite often is Ellis Butcher. There are a few people and brands and businesses that don't see another place or anything as competition or anything there, and they proudly want to let the people know that they're using it and supporting it, and yours is one of them. So you should be very proud of that. And I'll take my hat off to you for that.
Yeah, well, I love the chefs that do that. I think that's really appreciated because, you just don't see that too often. And, Dougie and Nikki, they've had my name on their menus for years. Oliver's Teranga, I get so many phone calls and messages after people visiting wineries and restaurants and so forth, and they say, "Can we buy your bread direct from you?" It's
Sure, I'm going to open a shop to sell bread.
Yeah.
You got it.
Why not?
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Actually, I got to thank Darry, our late beautiful Darry, and Don Redmond, because when we were at the Maylands, I was making bread at home, but I didn't ever think about doing it for the business. And I made bread one day for the club, and they said, "Hey, we want this bread every time we come." And then I started making for everyone in our hotel, and that's how it all started.
I love that. Like sort of, it's beyond the stories you tell of the hotels and that go beyond, let's fill a room or let's make as much as we can per head. Or like, no, we've got to sell the wine. No, otherwise, it's like, no, you guys have the room. Do that. It's fine. It becomes that community thing. It becomes that engagement and that exchange and a place where people share memories and stuff. And
here is a man dedicated to the art of food.
And hospitality.
And providing happiness for people.
I'm falling.
I wasn't wrapping up. By the way,
I'm falling. I'm falling in
Sidetracking.
love. I'm falling in love with both of you.
I'm trying to please Lee by not talking about myself,
Just
which
keep
seems to be
quiet
an
for
issue
me.
for you
What
constantly.
What do you actually love about this region? I mean,
the characters.
we're talking about Tales from the Vale, and I live here. I've lived here for years, and I love this region. I wouldn't live anywhere else in the world. Nice places to visit elsewhere, but always I love coming home. So what do you actually love about this region?
I think it's the characters. Go back to the days of Wayne Thomas and our beautiful Greg Trott, Darry, just so many people of the
Great
region
characters.
that we've known for, Johnson, our late
Walter Clappis.
Oh, no, he's still with us.
Yeah.
My beautiful cousin Walter. He's promised me for years he wants to make a wine, and because I make the bread and he makes the wine, he's going to call it the Body and Blood. So I'm waiting for that one.
I want to get on that with the wine. Actually, a good segue, because what is the wine format at your place?
Oh, we've mainly got local wines, exception of a few Italian wines, a couple of French, but yeah, mainly local wines.
Something that you're interested in?
Oh yeah,
He drinks enough.
Enjoys enough.
He drinks enough.
That's a beautiful
the
thing.
bucks, the bucks and reds, but also people like our beautiful Mark Lloyd, who, I remember a beautiful story when we did the Olive Awards at my place. We did several over the years, but this particular one, Primo Estate donated all the wine, and the wine was flowing freely. And Mark was there. He was the cellar door manager at the time. He's now at Oliver's Taringa doing a great job. And I saw Mark Lloyd at the bar, and he walked away. He exchanged money at the bar, and he walked off with a cousin Walter's Sangiovese and 4 glasses. And he saw me sort of staring at him from 10 feet away, and he goes, "I love your cousin's Sangiovese." So the next morning I rang Walter. He was sitting down with Kimberly and James having a little meeting, and he put it on speakerphone, and I told him the story. And he said, "Wow," he said, "Mark is the Sangiovese king of Australia. He brought so many Italian varieties." And he did. He brought so many Italian varieties into the game. He could see that years ago that we don't always need a big buxom red. We're not having buffalo and the easy drinking wines.
This is Mark Lloyd from Corriol.
And I went to Victoria and did a great little trip years ago going to wineries, and so many of them told me they got their first cuttings from Mark Lloyd of all the Italian varietals. Yeah. He did a great thing there.
He's doing things like Pickpool and, very interesting winemaker, or very interesting winery.
Yep. Very.
I'm going to backtrack just a tiny little bit. How did you get to McLaren Vale? Like, what made you choose McLaren Vale? Was it because of this lovely room with Darry and those people that you met?
Yeah, well, we already had property because of the Maylands. I was growing the beef. And actually, I'm glad you say McLaren Vale, because I'm at the top of Willunga Hill, but I'm on the cusp because I've got property across the road as well. So I'm in 2 councils and I'm in 2 wine regions because the restaurant is right on the cusp of McLaren Vale, and across the road is Adelaide Hills.
Adelaide Hills,
got the best of both worlds.
You got Pinot and...
Yeah, exactly.
That's the crop. Well, Pinot Vignard's just there. The Shiraz is just here. Brilliant. And you could sell both.
What do you think your biggest challenges are in terms of
answering the phone?
Booking system?
Yeah, I struggle with that.
I can give you someone to help you with that. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I must admit my daughter and my cousin's son, Luke, he's an IT, they're trying to set me up. Because, I've always struggled with having a system where people just book and if they haven't been before, I need to explain to them how I do it, because
What's
otherwise they could be disappointed, not getting a menu and so. But but they've come up with a great idea. They're going to video me telling me what I tell people on the phone. And that will free me up a bit once we get that all up and running. But yeah, the phone is a big struggle, especially I'm missing calls because when I make bread, the fans in my commercial kitchen amazingly high, and I miss a lot of calls. So that's not my forte, that sort of thing. So that's a real challenge for me.
But you're taking measures to overcome that challenge.
It is tough. I mean, I'm telling you now because I remember when we first opened Pizzateca, the worst thing is with a set menu, you've got a lot to explain.
Exactly.
Right? And I get that. People want to know, well, what am I paying for? Because it's not there. It's not a la carte. They can get a thing of olives and one pizza at my place and walk away. It's fine. But as soon as we've got a group size, you do have to go through dietaries. Oh, I've got an auntie that doesn't like this. It's a lot of sensitivities, and you've got to take the time to explain it. The problem is when you've got someone on the phone calling you at, and this is everyone that's listening out there, they're calling the restaurant
12 o'clock.
It's bloody 12:30 on a Sunday, and I've got a lineup of people I've got to sit down.
I thought it was just me.
I've got a booking in 3 months' time, and I just want to know, will the bread come out after the second course? And you're like, try not to be rude to that customer. Like, that's the toughest thing. And we realised really early on, I said, we can't do this. Like, there's no way we can serve these people and be on the phone. Like, I need a call centre. And we'll get off when we're off air. We'll chat.
Yes. Gone are the days when the owner would answer the phone.
Mate, got to be
Take
there.
your booking.
I'd rather be in my business doing something different because, that's what it's about. Like, you'd rather be tending to your bread, mate, and you'd rather be getting up in the middle of the night and make sure you're roast fine, not gone faxing someone a menu from 1986.
and you got to be true to what you believe. I mean, even when we were at the Maylands, I was making these curries. I was making a Malaysian lamb curry. I was making the Thai fish curry, and I made them hot for lovers of hot curries. And
what made you start with that? Was that something you were interested in, or did you see?
I've always loved Asian food as well. And but you got to, it. Occasionally, you'd get something that was too hot for them, but you'd explain that it was hot, but it was too hot for them. But it just brought us so many people that appreciated a real curry, a firm curry. And I know all curries don't have to be firm, but my two were, and it paid off in the long run. I don't know who said it. Someone famous said didn't know the recipe for success, but knew that the recipe for failure would be to try and please everyone. You can't please everyone. You've got to do what you think is what you enjoy doing and what you think the masses will enjoy. You can't worry about a couple that it's not going to be their sort of kettle of fish.
Sure.
I suppose I like that quote as well.
Yeah, I'll try and remember who said it.
I'll try and remember the quote. There's two parts to reciting quotes. Remember the quote and then who said it. It ends it well.
So what do you think is going to happen to this region? What would you like to see happen anyway?
Oh, it's just going to boom. The only hindrance I see at the moment is with all the roadworks. But in the future, I mean, it's going to be so easy to get around. Going to be a big change. I think
so you still see a lot of growth potential?
Oh, I think it's immense. We're so close to Adelaide. We've got everything here, absolutely everything.
In summer and in winter, we've said it before, just having that coastline there as well.
Oh, the coastline! You took the words out of my mouth. We got the best beaches in Australia. Absolutely the best.
Yeah.
What do you think would help things along other than roadworks being finalised? And getting around's a huge thing, like even for the other regions, getting like what they're talking about, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes to be down the north side, it's going to be pretty incredible. A lot of the wine industry people and wine haulage and all the other subsidiary things that go with it, it's going to increase that so much. Do you see anything else you'd like to see improved in McLaren Vale or Willunga, or something you'd like to see happen? Your vision?
Oh, I just think we're on the right path, all of us. And business brings business.
Hmm.
Sometimes a lot of people are scared of opposition, but business brings business.
That's a great
By all
philosophy.
means.
Greg
Yep.
Trott was
Yeah, exactly.
very supportive of that idea. If
probably
someone is
learnt that from him.
successful, it helps everybody else.
Yep. What a great man he was.
Yeah.
And I make bread for them as well. I make for, that goes back, I get very emotional about Greg Trott. He, great man.
He was. I've said it before.
You have.
He gave me my first job in the wine industry.
Hmm.
Mowing the lawns, cleaning the toilets.
His horses.
Yeah, right.
They do the mowing here.
I was asking about the fig trees that I'm looking at when I rolled in. I said, are they still around?
Mine are just setting. All my figs.
Mine are just about gone.
No, ours
the
are just
horse eats a lot.
really.
Go check the trees at the top. They get hard.
Yeah, mine are just. I thought they weren't going to.
I love the figs. Favourite time of year.
Yeah,
So good.
going on tocco de prosciutto.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got the Andre making gelati down there as well. So all these lovely labours around here coming in, dropping off figs, and is making a big sorbet. Really,
Wow.
It's just beautiful.
That's
So
great
good.
gelati too.
Thanks, mate. I'll let him know.
Very good. I did. Well, one thing I meant to ask you, you've got a couple of charities that you support.
I do. The Big Sing. We were talking about Mark Lloyd. They've made me patron of the Big Sing, which is a great music. They bring in lots of local artists.
Yep.
That's a great event. We do one every year, raise a lot of money so they can put on big shows at the Adelaide Town Hall. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've donated a table of 100 to the homeless, Hutt Street.
Hutt Street Foundation, yep.
And, I've met some great people through that.
How does that work?
United Nations, South Australia.
How does that work? You have 100 people come up and
They auction at the Adelaide Oval, the largest businessman's lunch.
right. Okay, gotcha.
There's more and more women there now, which is beautiful. So it's at the Adelaide Oval, and,
and all the
Bernard,
proceeds go towards.
all the my great friend from Ross Trevor, Phil Rundle, he's involved in the committee, and he rang me up 4 years ago and he said, Andy, can you donate a table of 4 for our big lunch? You get great exposure. And I said, Phil, I'm not going to give you a table of 4. I'm going to give you a table of 100. And it's been an ongoing thing. It's the number one auction. Yeah,
so good.
Bernard Booth. I saw him at a function at the wine centre that he was also doing an auction, and he spotted me. He said, Andy, I'm working out how I can bid for your table of 100. So he must have had a proxy last time. And I try and help with local things as well. I mean, it's just great when we all work in together. But if you give, you receive as well. I've through United Nations SA branch, Lydia Moretti, I've met just so many beautiful people being involved in that. I make the bread at the wine centre for the big lunch every year, and a couple of years ago she asked me to make the pate as well to serve up on the side room before we all go into the dining room. And she said, if you do that for me, I'll give you 2 guys that love you. They'll help you serve it up. I said, who's that? And she said, Gavin Wanganeen and oh my gosh, ex-Premier of South Australia, Lynn Arnold.
Wow.
And well, I've got to tell you, the last 2 years I've done that, and Lynn Arnold is a great, great help. But Gavin eats more than he serves.
What's on the cards for you? Like in the near future, you got travel plans or an expansion?
My partner's away at the moment. Kimmy's Vietnamese, and she's visiting her mum. She's got her own business in colonnades, and but we are really seriously. She's incredible cook, and we're thinking very seriously about doing one day a month Vietnamese night in the same concept of how we do.
How do I book?
Yeah, I knew you jumped out. You know, that's good that you said that's needed. That's very much needed. Some food diversity, a bit more would be great.
Yeah, well, the same concept, the way I do it.
So cool.
Yeah, I think we can make it work.
That'd
Yeah.
be brilliant too.
No, sign us up.
And it'd be great for me and Kimmy to do something like that together.
It's a scoop for Tales from the Vale. If anyone got this far in the podcast, if they got to the end, you'd be able to get tickets very soon.
Very soon.
And my girls are very interested in helping with those nights as well.
Great.
That's fantastic.
got
And you've
s-
involved the family in your business, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well,
Jeez,
they've all got young families now. My daughter Celandine, I left her. She was in the office doing some tidying up for me. My identical twins, who were the first to sell at the Willunga market, Chris Lloyd's cheese.
Yeah.
You remember, Lee, how they were they won one year the best morning people at the Willunga market. And I thought to myself, shit, I'm the one that had to get them up. But yeah, they're one's living in. She's here at the moment, one of the twins. But I've got 6 grandchildren now.
Wow.
6 grandchildren.
You wouldn't tell by looking at you.
My dad's got. I've lost count now how many great grandchildren he's got. Incredible.
Fantastic. Brilliant stuff.
That wraps us up, mate. That's
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I need to go out and get some really good lunch now.
Andiamo
so
a casa
hungry.
e mangiamo spaghettini con aglio, olio e peperoncino.
Let's go. You ready to carb up?
I'm going to have another cannoli. That's what I'm
Good
going to
boy.
do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, boys.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Tales from the Vale. Be sure to like and follow us, TFTV Podcast, on Facebook and Instagram.
To stay up to date with all things Tales from the Vale, be sure to join our mailing list. Just visit our website, talesfromthevale.com, to sign up. You can email us at hello@talesfromthevale.com for any advertising and general inquiries.